All right, whether Biden realizes it or not, the world is at war. In Crimea, Ukraine just blew up a large Russian warship as that conflict rages on with no end in sight. Meanwhile, Israel is now battling Iranian proxies on multiple fronts. Other Iran-backed proxies are targeting cargo ships all over the region. On Saturday, terrorists struck a ship off the Indian coast with an unmanned aerial vehicle. This as Iranian scientists have reportedly increased the rate of uranium enrichment as they get closer to achieving a nuclear bomb capability. Meanwhile, in the Pacific, China continues to threaten America's allies while Biden does nothing. And get this, the administration tried to conceal last February's Chinese spy balloon incursion. Were they trying to save China from embarrassment? Joining us now with reaction, the former National Security Advisor for President Trump, Ambassador Robert O'Brien. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us tonight on Hannity. You know, we just went through this with John Ratcliffe. You served arm and glove with him and hand in glove with him there in the Trump administration. But, you know, let's start with China, because China's on the march. They're not threatened by us. They're not worried about what the United States might do because they see Biden doing nothing else around the world.
Well, Jason, you're absolutely right. And John Ratcliffe was right in his analysis that he just gave you. Look, the maxim that peace through strength keeps America safe works. It's true. And weakness in foreign is provocative. When we're weak, our adversaries take advantage of us. And we're seeing that whether it's the Houthis or the Kataib Hezbollah, Iran, Hamas, the Russians, and now the Chinese. And what's very disturbing is we just learned that Xi Jinping in his meeting with President Biden in San Francisco, which, I mean, the one benefit from the meeting is San Francisco got cleaned up for a couple of days. So that was nice for the people of San Francisco. They were able to go out and walk on their streets for a couple of days. But he told Biden flat out, we're going to take Taiwan and there's nothing you can do about it. So a very disturbing message and something that we're not responding to.
Well, let's talk about Iran, because if you go over to the Middle East, Iran, they're behind Hezbollah, they're behind Hamas, they're behind the Houthis. A lot of Americans don't know who the Houthis are, but they should be a feckless, terrorist group that we could take care of in a moment's notice if we just had the political will to take care of it. But it's all because of Iran, correct?
It is. And look, the Houthis wouldn't fire a BB gun at a ship. The Hamas wouldn't have crossed the border into Gaza, from Gaza into Israel. None of this would have happened without the Iranians signing off. These are bought and paid for proxies. Hezbollah, Kataib Hezbollah, which is killing and injuring our soldiers in Iraq and Syria. This is all coming from Iran, and we're doing nothing about it. But the most concerning thing about Iran, and we're watching the Iranian missiles parade by as we speak right now on your screen, is their nuclear program. And that's going to be, if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, we're going to have real trouble. We need to avoid that at any cost.
Well, that's the concern, right, is that the United Nations watchdog group has now said that unlike what they were doing in the past, which was slowing down their enrichment, they've now sped it up. And there are a lot of people out there that believe that they are moments, if not inches away of achieving a nuclear capability, which for the world's safety and security, I mean, there cannot be anything worse than a Iranian government with money and then the resources to deliver a nuclear bomb.
Well, I can tell you, and without getting into the details, the Iranians are very close to having a nuclear weapon, and they're very close to being able to put it on a delivery system to menace Israel or our ships in the Red Sea or the Persian Gulf. But think about this, Jason. If Iran gets a nuclear weapon, what do you think the Saudis are going to do? The Saudis just paid $1 billion to buy Phil Mickelson and John Rahm and a golf league. You don't think they'll spend 10 times that much to buy a nuclear capability if their arch rivals Iran have it? And what do you think Egypt, the leader of the Arab world, or Turkey, which has been fighting Iran since before either country was Muslim, what do you think they're going to do about it? We're going to have a nuclear arms race in the middle of the most dangerous neighborhood in the world. And it's going to be brought on because instead of putting Iran in a box like John Ratcliffe talked about, Jason, we had Iran bankrupt. The Biden administration came in and said, if we just give them enough money, if we just give them a hostage ransom, if we just turn a blind eye to sanctions, if we just let them get rich again, they'll be nice to us. They're not nice to us. They're not that into us. And they're taking all that money, as you pointed out, to build a nuclear program. Now, that's going to put Israel at danger. The former president of Iran said that Israel's a one-bomb country. What do you mean by that? He meant we can kill all the Jews in Israel with one bomb, because Israel is a small country, scores of miles wide and in length. So that puts Israel at danger. And think about a future American president. If there's a crisis in the Middle East and we want to send a carrier group to the Middle East, and we send a carrier group, that carrier group with 5,000 sailors and pilots on it are going to be at danger of one nuclear weapon from Iran could wipe out an entire carrier battle group. They'll control the whole area. They'll be able to blackmail us, blackmail our allies, and potentially destroy and commit the ultimate genocide against Israel. It's a very dangerous situation, and we're facilitating it with all the resources we're giving them.
Well, President Biden and Kamala Harris better get their act together, because they're not standing up for the United States of America. They're not protecting the men and women who are actually serving us with more than 100 attacks. These little pinpricks of a response are not getting the job done. You're not speaking the language that people would understand, not on the border, not around the world. Ambassador Robert O'Brien, thank you for joining us tonight on Hannity. Do appreciate it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.